This is Talk Over Tea,
a place for a casual conversation about life in local government.
with Kassandra
and Claudel Frederic.
elected officials from the City of Amesbury, Massachusetts.
Relax with us for a moment. The tea is hot.
Hi, Claudel.
Hey, we're back.
We're back.
Yeah, we are back.
We're back to Talk Over Tea.
Talk over tea. Talk over tea.
Talk Over Tea.
Talk over
I could
tea.
use it. I need to slow down.
Yes.
It's been a crazy day.
Yes. That's why I said it a couple times. I was, it's like I kind of.
Everybody join us. Take a deep breath.
Talk over tea. Yeah.
How's your day been?
Oh, my day's been go, and go. So, yeah.
You know when people ask like, hey, how's it going? Like, what's new lately? And everyone's answer is busy.
Yeah.
It's like a peeve of mine.
Well, it's the truth, and it does.
I know, but we need to find another way to answer and have just real conversations.
On the go?
On the go? That's your new answer? On the go?
On the go.
On the go. Okay.
On the go. But that's
We're going to work on that.
I feel like that's a little
On
bit
the go,
rude, right?
I mean, it's
yeah.
bye.
It's like I don't got time right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's similar to busy, right?
I know, but we just, that's how we are, right?
Yeah.
I've been busy today. This is the casual you're going to get for our Talk Over Tea meetings.
Yeah. Did you just run here?
I ran here from another appointment.
Nice.
I had lunch in the car, like lunch on my lap. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
But I do need to eat sometimes. So
I think that's one of those things you have to do.
I've got to work it into the schedule.
Yeah. 100%.
And this is good. Now we can take a breath and
talk over tea
and just hang out.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about our background. I think people should probably know a little bit more about our background, right?
Yeah. Let's give them a little more information about us.
You start.
Oh.
Or do you want me to start?
All right. How far back should we go? People ask that question and they're like, well, in 1980, we're like, no,
right, so
that's not what I wanted.
Let's add some guidelines here.
Okay.
What would you say, like, what are the things in your background, like professionally, that you feel kind of helps you with local politics?
I mean, I've had a very unusual career path.
Okay.
I thought of a fun question we're going to ask today. But anyway, I've had a very unusual career path to being mayor. But when I reflect on it, all along, my training and my experience have really been in community building and constituent relations, predominantly at nonprofits. And I'm going to say, I worked at colleges and universities, which are actually just really big nonprofits, private universities, and learned a lot along the way about how to build community, tradition, expectations. You think about when someone graduates from a university, the alumni experience, even student experience, right? There are certain things that happen while you're there that you just know are part of that experience. And there's a certain things to be involved in. And then when you're an alum, they expect you to still participate. And so I've always participated in, worked in that area, and then took that experience to work at our Chamber of Commerce, where I was able to build community among our businesses and in our own city here in Amesbury, talk about our own history and our own traditions, and help people get involved in our community and sort of integrate and assimilate. And so it's been really fun to get to know people and help them feel comfortable, in networking and community spaces, and certainly has been helpful in the position that I'm in, working as the mayor, where that's now what I'm leading is the whole community, right?
I would say so.
And lots of management, organization, project management in all of the roles that I've had has all been really important. And I was a realtor for 5 years too, where I just spent a lot of time talking to people about why they should bring their family or their business to Amesbury, learning about how things work here, right? Like, when is your trash going to get picked up? How do you pay your tax bill? Learning about property and real estate and all of that. And so that's all been really helpful too in our work because, we own property and we deal with developers. And so I've read plans and, we talk a lot with developers and people, businesses who are bringing projects here. And it's all been very transferable, but it's not what you expect your mayor to have for a background I think for the most part, people expect your mayors to be accountants or attorneys or someone who went to school for political science, and I am none of those things.
Yeah, so you never really had any real politic background.
No.
Yeah. But
none.
I almost feel like that's kind of good in a way.
Yeah.
You brought a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the perspective you're bringing, it's helping you run the city right now. So
yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty
solid. Like a lot of, I think everything I've done has involved a lot of like consensus building, I was trained in servant leadership and just ensuring that everyone feels like they have a role and that they do make a difference. And that's a really important way to lead a city and to be successful in trying to do things like we're doing, which is like, rezoning areas of our city and bringing developments in and writing master plans and creating a vision and things like that. That's not a top-down kind of thing.
And nothing is short, like no short visions. Everything is like you got to really be looking at the future and be okay with knowing things are going to take time. And not everybody could look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job.
Yeah. No, but rewarding.
Yeah.
So I've had a real variety of experiences, and I think those, there's just a ton of transferable skills and experience in the jobs that I've had, from working at colleges and universities to community organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, and then being a realtor too. Just about working with people and understanding what makes them tick and how to get people involved and understand what they care about and, all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, that is quite the travel there to get to where you're at.
Yeah. I'll save my question for after you tell us about, sort of your background. And so you're a city councilor, but that is not a full-time job.
No.
So what do you do professionally?
Professionally, I am a full-time realtor.
Yeah.
I've been a full-time realtor since about 2017 is when I got my license, October.
Okay.
Halloween Day, 2017.
Ooh,
yeah,
spooky.
I remember that precisely. It was scary. And, you got that. All right, anyways.
Okay.
So I did that. And then I went full-time maybe shortly after. When I first got my license, I was a dental technician.
Oh. So I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. So
I was waiting for this so I could find out what did you do before you were a realtor.
Before a realtor, I was a dental technician. So I made removable prosthetics for the mouth.
Oh, my gosh.
So I did that full-time. It was a good job, but literally the reason why I didn't stay in that field it wasn't because of the money. Money was good, but it didn't match my personality. It was basically me and some dentures day to day.
It's not that exciting.
And sometimes I would do some chair side with the dentist.
Yeah.
And I would interact with the dentist, like, you know what I mean? Like, through the windows. He would be like, hey, I need this or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Or, come chair side, come take a look at this person's mouth. But for me, that wasn't enough interaction. I liked the fact that people were happy when they got the finished product, their dentures.
Yeah.
That was gratifying.
Right.
But there wasn't enough of that interaction with that one-on-one. So
I feel like you're too social to do that.
Yeah. I was going crazy.
Right.
There. So I got my real estate license. I was doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to give this like a full-time go. So I did that. And I've been doing it since then. And I would say, so with real estate and local government, how do I put this? I would say they're very similar. I would say it's not that they're complicated, but they are very complex.
Yeah.
Meaning like there's a lot of moving parts, right?
Right.
So just like any transaction, I have to overlook each part, make sure everybody's playing their part. And just in local government, like there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And if something or someone drops the ball, the whole thing falls apart.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when it could become complicated. So I feel like that has really helped me kind of understand or kind of get comfortable with the idea of really being part of local government. But I think where my battle is right now is being patient with the process.
Sure.
Because I'm still new, right? So my ambition is like, oh, I should know all of this right now.
Yeah. There's too much to know right now. I still learn more than one new thing a day.
Right. You see? So it
5
takes
years in.
tons of reps, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to see the same situation multiple times, and I'm sure it's never the same. There's always something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No situation is really the same as another. They're all unique.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of factors to consider. Yeah. And there's just always a lot of people involved. So like for you as a city councilor, if you have a constituent with an issue or, concern, complaint, it could involve multiple departments in the city. So and just like in real estate where you've got so many different people involved in the one transaction, it could cross at times. We have things that involve almost all of our departments. So there's just, everyone talks about, this is a meeting that shouldn't be a meeting, right? It's like this could be an email. Sometimes we do just need a meeting because I need everyone in the same place at the same time. So sometimes, I know you have met with department heads in order to get face to face with them to just sit, have the conversation you need to have, because sometimes it just is, like you said, it is complex and there's a lot of people involved and you just need to get, be able to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
And, same thing in what you do, right?
Text and email could mess a lot of things up.
Yeah.
It's like, so sometimes kind of like being face to face, like you said, it takes out some of the emotions or assumed emotions that you think there are in text or email, right? We know exactly what's happening here.
Yeah.
So it's that personable feel it's necessary.
Right.
For
and
sure.
that helps, I'm sure that helps you get things done in real estate. It helps get things done in government too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
being able to negotiate. And
I need to be patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're doing great. But there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And certainly your skills and experience in real estate is going to be really helpful.
Yeah.
So like I said, I was in real estate for a few years before I ran for office. And I think real estate in particular is actually really beneficial to someone going into local government because of the amount of people you work with, the complexity of the situation that you find yourself in, the emotions that are involved. It's very personal. It's a really, every transaction is a life-changing transaction. Yeah. And when, what we deal with for people is very personal. It's, everybody loves to tell you we pay taxes, and their home or their property is sometimes involved, and again, there's a lot of people involved, and they're just really important decisions that we're making. And I know for me, and and at times it comes before the council. We have property that we own. We have property abutters, we have neighbors, we have, there's transactions that happen. We need access to people's property at times. We have to sell property. It's like a lot of what we do has to do with real estate.
It's crazy. Like you never really realize that when you think local government, you don't think all that is involved as far as real estate goes. But the city does.
Just think of property, like our infrastructure, subsurface, below ground, all the pipes, which, they don't just run under public property. They, they hit private property. We have to know, right? Like what's yours, what's mine. Right. There's easements at times. Sometimes it's actually our pipe, but it is under private property. So being able to understand that, even just knowing to go to which resources you have. I know to go to the Registry of Deeds to look for certain documents, and we sort of take that for granted because we know that's a really great tool, but not everybody knows to go there to search for things or how to use it or things like that, or the assessor's database. There's so much public information out there, but it's habit for people like you and me to go find that. And you can really piece together the puzzle by accessing those things.
And our confidence doesn't come from knowing it all. Our confidence comes from knowing where to get the answers, right? Yeah. So the resources. And I think that's what we do for our constituents too. It's kind of, we want them to lean on us. Like, hey, we may not have the answer for you right now, but we could certainly get it or tell you where to go to get it.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes that's what they need to hear from us.
Right.
And that's what we're going to provide.
Right.
So,
which is just a great skill for, for anyone who wants to get involved in local government to understand that you're not going to have all of the answers. No. And also to consider when you're, thinking about if you don't want to get involved yourself, but who is involved, right? Yeah. And who you're electing, or, who else is leading your local government. But, they're not all going to have the answers, but if they can help you get to the right resource or the right person, that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a similar background.
Real estate.
In real estate, which has actually been very helpful. And my background in community building and constituent relations it's been super helpful. And the Chamber of Commerce, being the Chamber of Commerce director, it actually, it's not a political position, but it is super visible. Yeah. Everyone knows the chamber director in your town or city. And so, it's similarly, they get stopped on the street, they are noticed at events, they go to public events, they work with legislators, they advocate for funding for things. And so some of that was also, really transferable and helpful too.
So speaking of that, I know there's a lot of people that definitely mistake like the chamber and the city. And I feel like that's a common, like it happens pretty often. They just assume everything that's being done on the city end or on the chamber end are interchangeable.
Right.
And that's not the case.
No, I wonder if that's common in other communities. It does happen here. I sort of assume it happens everywhere. The chamber plans a lot of events and programs. And I think people sometimes they think it's the city, but sometimes the city is doing things. I think it's the chamber. Yeah. So, for instance, Amesbury Days, which actually is not the chamber, but the chamber does one event during Amesbury Days, which is for us like Yankee Homecoming for those of you listening. Sort of like a big annual week-long festival. A lot of people think that's the city, and we don't actually plan any of those events. Yeah. They're run by nonprofits and other organizations. So it is hard to even explain to people who does what, because there is a lot of overlap, and there's just a lot of community organizations doing great things and planning wonderful events, and there isn't actually one big calendar to find it on, which I also think is probably an issue in other communities too. So it is hard to kind of get connected and then figure out like who's who and who's doing what. I remember being at the chamber thinking, why do I do this? The city should be doing it. And there's stuff that the city does now that I'm thinking probably the chamber should do that. But it's, we all do very similar things. There's just a lot of overlap.
But I feel like because of that respect is definitely much needed on both ends. It's kind of like right now, like I love like what our chamber does. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they're kicking butt. And the city's doing a lot. So it's like, imagine if you are not working together collaboratively. Like,
it has to be a partnership.
Yeah. It wouldn't go as well. You know what I mean? So this is very important. It's part of like that collaborative movement, like that synergy. Like,
one of the things that is also, I don't know that people realize, is the Chamber of Commerce has a board of directors, and one of their seats on the board of directors is for a community member. And for a long time, I don't even know how many years, it's been our chief of police or a member of our police department who has served in that role. So we actually have a city representative at the board level for the chamber that helps sort of serve that role of being a liaison and has direct connection to the decisions that are being made to help ensure that we're sort of on the same page. Yeah. And they also have a subcommittee, or for them it'd probably be just a committee, an economic development committee. And we have our director of community and economic development sits on that committee and goes to those meetings too, so that when we know about things that are happening in town, companies coming, going, growing, or developments or projects or, whatever else, or if we want to be strategic and recruit certain businesses or, talk about our tax rate or, whatever it might be, resiliency, things like that. We can kind of do it. We can do that together and have that conversation. Yeah. It's like a little working group and place that we can have that conversation, which is great too.
Yeah, definitely. I love the fact that you mentioned the tax rate, getting together and talking about that. I'm assuming, I mean, not assuming, but this is an important conversation.
Yeah.
And like you said, getting together, talking about things like that is key.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we have a good partnership with them.
Good.
So my question that I thought of for you is there a job that you had in your lifetime that's just like an odd job, like what's the craziest, like oddest job that you've ever had?
Oddest job. Jeez, what was my oddest job? I remember my first job. I was at Pizza Hut.
Okay.
Oh man, free breadsticks, free wings. It was delicious. Great. Yeah, oh yeah. That was cool. It wasn't odd. It was just I was in high school. I don't know if I've had any odd. I was a telemarketer.
Oh, all right.
That was kind of odd, but again, I was getting people to refinance.
Okay. And now you work in real estate.
Yeah.
Look at you, see?
Yeah. It wasn't planned. And this was like shortly after high school. No odd jobs? No. But I would say my favorite job prior to real estate would be working at the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh.
Like, yeah, in Lawrence. Working at the Boys and Girls Club in Lawrence was probably my favorite job. Just because I was working with like a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And it was just really fun. It's like some of the kids, like they would say with the bad kids, those kids were never really bad kids. They just needed and wanted attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved that.
That's great. Has that influenced you as a counselor or what you've gotten involved in town in any way?
Yeah, I'm part of PACT. And
what's PACT?
PACT is the best.
Well, so we might need a whole episode, but
okay. So can we make that a whole episode?
We can make it an episode.
All right, cool. Well, I'm part of PACT. Watch the next episode.
Okay. It's our youth coalition, so it's a great way to work with kids,
with the
kids. young adults.
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I feel like that's absolutely great.
I'm part of PACT too, so.
Yeah, I see you there sometimes.
When that crazy schedule lasts for it.
The meetings, it's cool. I like it. But yeah, no weird jobs. Do you have one that was like a really weird one?
I do have an odd job, which is why I asked the question. But sometimes you never know. People sometimes have this odd job that they may have worked. So the odd job that I had was when I was in college. I had friends who were studying aviation. They worked at a small airport, or studied and took classes and flight lessons at a small airport, and it had an attached FBO, and I got a job at the airport, and at one there was a day where I actually had to go out and marshal in an airplane. Don't choke on the tea.
Don't you have to be qualified to do that?
I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't have put that on the air, but but I did. The fuel guys were busy and the plane was coming. These are like little planes. These are people who like own their own planes. There's a whole, there's hangars. They own the hangar, rent the hangar, whatever. And the pilot was like, "You're gonna have to come out and do it yourself."
I'm choking on it. Yeah, well, that was your news that literally had me choking on the tea.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd want to be the pilot behind you just signaling him in.
I had to be in front of him, and I had to get him into his parking spot. Wow. Over the radio, I was like, what do I do? So that's the odd job I've had. I was in college, and I had to marshal in a plane.
How many times did he have to do that?
I only marshaled in the plane once.
Good for you.
He told me I had to go out and do it. He's like, I guess it's you.
Oh, wow.
So, but I did love working at the airport. So
yeah, no.
It was fun. People had different stories and, came from all over. So it was, oh my gosh, what was the name? Craig. It was called Craig Airport. It was in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, okay.
And it was called Craig Airport. It was in Jacksonville, Florida. And it was called Craig. It was a small airport. So, there you go. We've lost track of time.
Yeah. All good.
This has been fun.
And I choked on my tea.
But there's a little bit of background on what we did before we ran for office, what might have influenced us to run for office. And
I think all
we'll
these things.
We'll talk more about what we do in the next episode.
For sure.
Let's wrap. I'm sure we have more things on our calendar for the day.
We do.
All right. Next time.
Yes.
To talk over tea.
Talk over tea.
Thanks.